Hari Om. Welcome to the next in our series in the explanations of Sri Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram, or the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu. Today I'll be taking up the second stanza and explaining the names of Bhagwan in that stanza. Before that, let us begin with a short prayer. Om Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Pūtātmā paramātmā ca muktānāṃ paramāgatiḥ avyayaḥ puruṣaḥ sākṣī kṣētrajñō'kṣara eva ca. So that was the second stanza, and it begins with the 10th name in the series of names, pūtātmā. Not bhūtātmā. We saw bhūtātmā last time. This is pūtātmā. It comes from the Sanskrit root pu, to purify. Here it means the pure self. Maybe the English word pure also derives from this root, purification, pure. But here, Bhagavan is referred to as a pure self. We have to be very careful also understanding this qualification of the self with the word pure, because we should not have the understanding or the idea that there's an impure self. There is no such thing as an impure self. The self by nature is purity. So there can be no impurity in the self. In the Shastra, purity, when purity is discussed, mostly it is referring to the antahkarana, or the instrument of knowledge, the mind. And impurity is generally referred to two culprits. Bhagavan talks elaborately in the Bhagavad Gita about these two, ragas and dveshas, which are intense likes, intense dislikes. These are known as malas, or impurities of the mind, because they color the mind and they drive you to run towards things and drive you to run away from things. So intense likes, you go after things, situations, objects, people. Intense dislikes, you run away from this, objects, people, situations that you don't like. And this is considered an impurity in Shastra. It doesn't give me objectivity over this life and how I perceive life in general. So this is impurity is mainly the raga, dveshas in the mind. So purity is neutralization of this intense likes and dislikes. Purity also refers to not coming under the sway of the three gunas, the qualities that we have learned about in creation, which is sattva, rajas, and tamas. These permeate and pervade all of this universe, including the body, mind, senses of each and every one of us. They're manifest as different energies we see operating in the world. We can take our own lives, for example. Within one day, how many times my mood changes. I can be very active in one moment, very driven to do action. Next moment, suddenly, I become very lethargic, very tired, apathetic. I have to lie down, I have to take a nap. Tamo guna overtakes me. In the activity phase, rajas takes me over. And many times also I find myself peaceful, calm, in a good state, and a state where I'm able to focus and apply the mind to where I want it to be applied. That is sattva guna becoming predominant. So we're held under the fluctuation of these three qualities. But pūtātmā, Bhagavan, has these gunas under his charge, under his mastery, under his control. He is not moody. He doesn't get governed by the thoughts, feelings, emotions. They don't affect him. So pūtātmā. Bhagavan Krishna refers to another way Bhagavan remains unaffected. And this idea of pūtātmā he brings in chapter 4, verse 14. And he says there, Namam karmani limpanti, name karma phale spraha, iti mam yo bijanati, karma bhirna sabhadyate. There he says, activities don't taint me in the slightest. nor do I desire the fruits of action, the results of action. And one who knows me in this way is also never bound by the results of action. So pūtātmā is one who is not touched by action. We'll see how. Pūtātmā is seen as sarvajñaha also, all knowledge. If he is pure self, there is not an iota, not a trace of ignorance in him, including self-ignorance. He knows his true nature. And what is his true nature? It is a karta, a bhokta. It is one of non-doership, non-enjoyership, or experiencership. This is why he's saying in the Bhagavad Gita, actions do not taint him. In the 9th chapter, he uses 2 words to explain this. He says he's udasina, uninvolved, and he says he's asaktaha, not bound by the results of action. Of what? As though actions of creation, preservation, and dissolution. So he's uninvolved, unattached to these seeming actions. He doesn't care if a cow is created with crooked horns. He doesn't care if a human is born with 5 legs. And he doesn't get affected if a calf is born with 3 heads. I just saw that recently. There was a clip sent with a calf with 3 heads. Bhagavan is unaffected by all of this. It is perfect in his drishti, perfect in his vision. At the same time, remaining uninvolved, unaffected, he lends existence. We've seen this idea of lending existence to this whole universe, just as the sun lends its light, sunlight and heat, and brings this planet to life, makes things grow, so everything functions in the presence of sunlight. In the same way, actions happen in his presence, but he remains untainted, unaffected by them. Pūtātmā. It is like movie screen. If you see a movie screen remains untouched by all the scenes you see on it. The horror scenes, the comedy scenes, the love stories, all of those changing scenes on the movie screen. Does the movie screen ever get tainted by it? Does it get colored? No, it remains pure, untainted. This is what Bhagavan is referred to as here. He is not touched by all the scenes, changing scenes. Again, in the 9th chapter, he explains this. He says, Maya Dhyakshena Prakritihi Suyate Sacharacharam. So blessed by my presence alone, it is his presence, this material energy of Prakriti. It brings into being all the animate and inanimate forms. Pūtātmā can say, I do nothing. It is energy, the material energy, which is also non-separate from him, that brings this creation, all of this into being. Paramātmā is the next word, the 11th name in the series. Paramātmā means the limitless. Atma Ishvaratvat Paramātmā, the one who is the Lord of himself, is Paramātmā, which means he independently exists. He doesn't depend on his existence for anything else. And because he is referred to as limitless, how is he limitless? We can only understand limitless when we understand limitation. So limitless literally means free from all limitations. Parama means limitless. 3 limitations are here in this universe for all things. The first is spatial limitation. Forms and sizes are seen as limitations. We are limited by space. Bodies come in different shapes and sizes. They occupy some space, some more than others. But we see limitations in sense of space. There is limitation. Time-wise also, everything is limited here. Everything in this universe is bound by time. These names and forms are born in time. They exist for a length of time and they exit in time as well. So time-wise also limited. Object-wise, there is limitation. Limited by other names and forms, because there's this name and form, other names and forms limit that particular name and form. Some are bigger, some more powerful, and they trigger the smallness more. But Paramatma is not bound by space. He's not bound by time. He is now not bound by objects. He is all pervasive, which makes him limitless. He is the very truth of all objects. Paramatma, pure consciousness. Time and space, as we have seen, are objects and objects. They all resolve into consciousness, into Paramatma. In the gold world, we can see gold continues to exist even if all the ornaments are melted down. Gold is not dependent on the ornaments for its existence. Shankara for this name, he also says, Karya Karana Vilakshanaha, which means Paramatma is free from being the cause and the effect. He's free from that. There's no limitation of cause and effect either for him. Because all that is here, as we are saying, is consciousness alone. Being in the form of this universe, Paramatma is not limited by cause or effect, because everything is a mere appearance, like waves and rising in water, waves rising and resolving in water. So this is the idea conveyed by Paramatma. Cause and effect is only a standpoint of seeing things. And from that standpoint, the cause inheres all the effects, just as the gold inheres all the golden ornaments. But this name, Shankara also brings in his signature line, Nitya Shuddha Bhukta Mukta Swabhavaha. Paramatma is ever pure, ever conscious, and ever free. So the word Paramatma reveals the Swarupa or the nature of Lord Vishnu. So the 12th name we see is muktānāṃ paramāgatiḥ. Lord Vishnu is referred to as muktānāṃ paramāgatiḥ, which means the ultimate goal of all the liberated ones. Again, he alludes to this in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita in a beautiful verse where he says, Na tat bhāsayate suryaha, na shashanko na pavakaha, yat gatva na nivartante, tat dhama paramam mama. Neither the sun nor the moon nor fire illumine that, having gone to which one does not return. That is my limitless abode, the ultimate destination of all. Paramatma, as we've seen, Lord Vishnu, is the ultimate goal of all. Why? Why is he the ultimate goal? As human beings, we hate mortality. We don't like to be time-bound. We don't like to get old, sick, and die as well. We also hate ignorance. We cannot brook ignorance. Always want to know something or other. I cannot stand that inadequacy, that smallness of not knowing. For example, if I see, out on the street, I see a crowd gathering for something. Inevitably, I will be drawn there to know what is happening, what is happening. That is human nature. We need to know, we have to know what is happening. So I cannot brook ignorance. I cannot stand ignorance. Human beings also hate sorrow. We want to be happy always, 24/7, we want to be happy. In fact, that is what drives all our pursuits in life. I want to live, and I want to live happily as well. So this is very important. Although suicide may be a release from sorrow, if I was given a solution saying that this is a solution to your unhappiness, definitely person will not take their own life if they discover happiness. So happiness is what I really want. All this reveals that every single person is after the only one thing, moksha, liberation, freedom, freedom from being time-bound, freedom from all inadequacies, feeling of smallness, and freedom from all sorrow. This is what we all really want in our lives, and everything we do is for these things. The Swarupa of Lord Vishnu is said to be Sat Chit Ananda. The goal of every individual, according to the Upanishads, is the discovery of the Swarupa to be the same as that of Bhagavan. Sat Chit Ananda. Sat is absolute existence, timeless existence. It reveals your nature as immortal. The Lord's nature is timeless, immortal. Your nature as well is timeless, immortal. What you seek. Chit reveals freedom from all inadequacy. Consciousness that lights up knowledge as well as ignorance. It is the basis for knowledge and ignorance, because you know, and you know you don't know also. You light up your own ignorance. You know, I have no knowledge of Russian. I don't know Russian. I don't know Japanese. I don't know much biology. So this, you have knowledge of it, like the Sam Cooke song, the famous song, don't know much about history, don't know much biology. How do you know you don't know? That is Chit, lighting up your ignorance. Chit also lights up your knowledge. So freedom from inadequacy comes when you discover that Chit, that you are not bound by your ignorance, you're not bound by knowledge either. And of course, Ananda is what we really, really desire, which is fullness, completeness, limitless happiness. It is all that I want, really. That is what my whole life goal is. It is as if at once, it is said in the scriptures, all desires are fulfilled at one moment. How will that feeling be? It is total satisfaction, total satiation. So whether one knows it or not, all ultimately seek Lord Vishnu, paramāgatiḥ. For the muktānāṃ, for the liberated, this fact is very clear. That is the meaning of behind this name. The 13th name in the series is avyayaḥ. Avyayaḥ means the one who is free from any decline, who is indestructible. Again, referring to the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says in the 2nd chapter, Avinashitu tat vidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya na kaścit kartum arhati. Know that by which the entire world is pervaded, to be indeed indestructible. Well, no one can bring about the destruction of that which does not change. So Avinashi is that Lord, Vishnu. He, avyayaḥ, is never destroyed. So he is timeless. He is nitya. There is no modifications for this Lord Vishnu. Vyaya means change, decline, and destruction. Avyaya means no change, no decline, no destruction. So Jagat is nothing but all names, forms, and functions. These names and forms and functions, as again we have seen, are subject to parināma, or destruction of previous states and birth of new states. This is what happens to all names, forms, and functions. Physical bodies are also subject to Shat-vikaras, or the 6-fold changes that we have seen in the previous video as well. Bhagavan in chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita, he talks about this, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. He in fact says, live your life contemplating on these changes that keep happening. So you can see yourself differently, that you see you are the changeless entity. That is ultimately the vision that one has to discover. So Janma Mrityu, birth, death, old age, disease, unhappiness, all these are, the mind, body, senses is subject to all these changes. But the Lord is avyayaḥ, because he is formless. He cannot change. He cannot modify into anything else. In the gold world, gold remains gold. If you take the gold world, gold remains gold. It is changeless, timeless. In the gold world, all the ornaments are born in gold, They exist in gold and they resolve in gold. But gold is always without getting destroyed. I'm saying in the gold world because all examples are limited. So we should take it with the limitation. So the ornaments, they arise in gold, they exist in gold, and they resolve in gold. But gold is changeless. So this is the meaning of avyayaḥ. So the next word that we are going to take is the 14th name, puruṣaḥ. Puruṣaḥ has many different derivations. It means indweller of the body, the one who fills up everything also. But we'll see the different various meanings Shankara has given as well. So the first meaning he says is Puranat Sadanat Va Puruṣaḥ. He is the one who pervades everything, resides therein, that is all pervasive. This idea we have seen many, many times as well. Another derivation is Pura Eva Asit Iti Puruṣaḥ. So before anything came into existence, he existed. Puruṣaḥ existed. Another meaning Shankara gives is Puruni Bhuvanani Samhara Samaye Syati Iti Puruṣaḥ. The one, Purusha is the one who destroys all the worlds in the time of Pralaya. So Pralaya is the dissolution of the world, and he is the one who dissolves this whole universe into him, unmanifest form. Another name for Puruṣaḥ, meaning given. Purusha Utkarsha Shalishu Sidati iti Puruṣaḥ. So he is known as Puruṣaḥ because he is recognized in all things which have excellence, in all things which are eminent. That is, makes him Puruṣaḥ. Another meaning for Puruṣaḥ. Then, Puruni Phalani Sanoti Dadati iti Puruṣaḥ. He gives in abundance. He gives everything in abundance. Material and spiritual abundance he gives. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 22, very famous verse, Bhagavan says, Yoga kṣēmam vaham yaham ananyas chintayanto mam. So if one's committed to Bhagavan, one thinks of Bhagavan, brings Ishvara into one's life, he promises there, I will take care of all that you already have, possess, and I will also give you what you want, give you what you need, what you want to acquire as well. So this is the idea. Purusha is the one who gives in abundance. But the main meaning taken here is Puram. Puram is shariram, or the body. Tasmin shete iti Puruṣaḥ. So the one who is resident in this Pura, which is the city, is called, referred to as Puruṣaḥ. He is resident in this 9-gated city. In a few places in these scriptures, we see this reference to the 9-gated city. In Mahabharata also it comes. Bhagavad Gita, of course, in the in the 5th chapter, Bhagavan says this, Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadware pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan. Here he refers to the Navadware Pure Dehi, this 9-gated city in which this Purusha resides. What is this 9-gated city? 9 apertures, the 2 ears, the 2 eyes, the 2 nostrils, the mouth, the excretory organ, and the genitals. This is the body of the 9 gates. Now, if you add the pranas, the hands, feet, mind, and the egoic individuality, ahankara, this is the way human beings are made, and this is how we interact with this universe, with this jagat, with the world, and the people in this world. This body, this pura, is born of sat karma. It is born of good karma alone. So it's said as well in the scriptures, Jantunam nara janma durlabam. Among all types of births that one can acquire, this human birth is the most difficult to get. So Atma here is Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is like Purusha. He is like the king in the city. under his direction, under his command, all things happen. In fact, without doing, things get done. Without him actually actively doing anything, we've seen this, things get done. All the functions of the body happen. Everything happens without his active participation. How? So the mere, again, this idea of mere presence of Atma is enough. The mere presence of puruṣaḥ, resident in this pura, in the city, 9-gated city, lends existence to the body, mind, senses, and drives us in our lives. So puruṣaḥ, meaning given. Another beautiful meaning Shankara gives is bhaktānāṃ hridayam pūrayati puruṣaḥ. He is, puruṣaḥ is the one who fills up the hearts of all devotees, who gives happiness. That is puruṣaḥ, the one who gives joy to his devotees. And we have seen this. We see this in all the festivals we celebrate. Mahashivratri, the japa, the chanting, all of these, the manifestation of joy, immediate, that is drishtapalam, the immediate result of our actions. And this is the Lord's blessing in our hearts. He fills our hearts with happiness and joy. So he's called puruṣaḥ. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 7th chapter, verse 16, Bhagavan refers to different types of devotees, and he discusses devotion there. He also says the highest devotee is the one who is one with the Lord himself. So here, for this devotee, the Lord pervades his life in all ways, all ways. He is pureti, he is filled by puruṣaḥ in the form of absolute joy. On the relative level, a devotee is one who trusts the Lord in the form of order. His thinking is whatever happens, happens for the good. The Lord knows what to give, when to give, to whom to give. There is a trust of this devotee, a relaxation, which leads to, again, joy in the heart. That is Bhagwan's blessing. This anxiety, fear, worry for our lives is manifestation of this lack of letting go and letting the Lord fill us with his joy. Let these things go and let puruṣaḥ enter the heart, fill you up with his nature, which is happiness, joy. So puruṣaḥ is the 14th name in the series. The next name we're taking, the 15th name, is sākṣī. Sākṣī is the timeless witness of everything. The derivation is sometimes given as from two words, saha akshi, the one with seeing power, the one who sees. Akshi, the one, aksha is eye, saha aksha, sorry, the one with seeing power. So Lord Vishnu, with his countless eyes, we saw in the first stanza as well, Sahasraksha Sahasrapat from Narayana Suktam, from Purusha Suktam. All of this idea, this 1,000 countless heads, countless eyes that the Lord has, which means what? That everything, he's the witness in and through everyone. He's the witness to everything. Inside and outside, he's the witness. He's a neutral witness, a neutral observer. And it is not in the normal sense of perception, not like we see. We see through the sense organs, then the objects gets registered in the mind, and then knowledge takes place. That is not Bhagavan's way of seeing. The word seeing we have to understand. Witness is sākṣāt ikṣate, which means he sees everything directly. There's no necessity, intervention of the sense organs or mind in his seeing, because he is pure awareness. He is witness consciousness. So this is what it means here. There is no cognition for Bhagavan like for human beings, because he pervades all things. He pervades all this universe inside and out. So his knowledge is free from all the defects of the mind and the sense organs. Bhagavan has no bad eyesight. He is not hard of hearing, and he can never be subject to any of the mental colorations that we are subject to perceiving this world. He is an uninvolved witness in life. At the same time, without his blessing, presence, nothing can happen. Sākṣī. He is also the 16th name, kṣētrajñā'kṣara. He is the knower of the objective universe. Kṣētra literally means field, and jñāha means one who knows. So Lord Vishnu, as kṣētrajñā'kṣara, knows the field of objects, the objective world, the world of objects. Now, an idea behind this is the sarva vetritvam of Lord is brought in. He knows everything in detail. He knows everything in detail. He's sarva vit. Bhagavan becomes kṣētrajñā'kṣara because he knows all the kshetras, objects of knowledge, because we have to understand this is only symbolic, because nothing other than him to know. In fact, there's only one. He is everything. But it is said like this, that he is sarvavit. He knows everything in detail. And through all the kshetras, the fields, of body, mind, senses as well, Bhagavan manifests as kṣētrajñā'kṣara, the all-pervasive one, the all-knowing one. Lord Krishna describes this kshetra in the beginning verses of chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita. He says that the kshetra includes the 5 subtle elements: subtle ether, subtle air, subtle fire, subtle water, and subtle earth. The kshetra includes the samashti buddhi, known as hiranyagarbha, the total intellect, which encompasses all our intellects actually. That is also within this kshetra, this field. Kshetra is also the mind, all minds also in the total mind. Kshetra includes the ahankara, the sense of doership and experiencership. Kshetra includes this. And of course, Maya is also heap bliss as under kshetra. The unmanifest cause of this universe is kshetra. And the 10 organs of knowledge and action. So the 5 jnanendriyanis, the organs, 5 organs of knowledge, which are the 5 sense organs, and the karmendriyani, the 5 organs of action, he also includes in kshetra. And with these, the 5 sense objects become available as well, which are all that is seen, all that is heard, all that is smelt, all that is tasted, and all that is felt, which is basically the whole world included in kshetraha. Not only these things are the objects of our knowledge, the internal world is also kshetra. So he brings in here the internal world, which is also objective knowledge, the desires, the aversions, the joys, the sorrows, all emotions and thoughts are also objectified by kṣētrajñā'kṣara. So the entire instrument of body, mind, senses is included, everyone's. All these are Vishwa, the universe, the kshetra here. This is Lord Krishna speaking of kshetra in the 13th chapter. The idea of sentience and insentience is also brought in here, because anything insentient, jadam in Sanskrit, can be objectified by the subject. Yat yat drishyam, tat tat jadam. So tat tat jadam because drishyatvat. That which is, so jadam means that which is neither conscious of itself, nor is it conscious of anything else. Physical bodies are inert. They are objectified. They are matter. You may say, I see this person. I see them talking, walking. I see them as sentient beings. But you see only the body. You don't see the sentience behind. You don't see the sentience behind the physical body. That body is earth to earth, ashes to ashes. It is nothing but 5 elements and elementals alone. It is objectifiable. It is included within kshetra. A conscious being has to objectify all of these things, and that is the subject. You are that subject. Everything else is object of knowledge. But here, kṣētrajñā ultimately is understood as the Lord who cannot be subject, nor can he be object. So this is very difficult idea to grasp. But basically, if the Lord is an object, he will be limited by the subject. And if the Lord is the subject, he will be limited by objects. And this is not true. He is limitless. Paramātmā, we've seen in the previous name. He cannot have any limitations. So there has to be another meaning for kṣētrajñō'kṣara. Kṣētrajñā means he is both the subject and the object. He is the very nature of both. He swallows both subject, object. This is kṣētrajñā, very beautiful name given by Bhagavan in the 13th chapter as well. He discusses it elaborately of the Bhagavad Gita. Now the last name of this stanza is the 17th name, which is Akṣaraha. Akṣaraha means the undecaying, the undiminishing, immutable one. So it's a similar idea to avyayaḥ we saw in the first name here. Anything in the kshetra category is subject to decay. So all the list that we saw of kshetra is subject to decay, it's subject to diminishing. The only one which is undecaying is kṣētrajñā, akṣaraha. In this word, in this name, he is referred to as akṣaraha. Na kṣayati iti akṣaraha, that which is forever, which never has decline. Just as he is, he remains. He always was, he always is, and he always will be. That is akṣaraha. Shankara also gives another meaning here. He says, Swabhavataha na ksharati. He says, Lord Vishnu never swerves from his nature. Swabhavataha. He never stops pervading. He never stops preserving or maintaining this universe. Our personalities are subject to change. They keep changing. A mind subject to change, but Bhagavan's nature is not like that. He is akṣaraha, not subject to diminishing, not subject to decay. Akṣaraha. There is no diminishment of his power or his magnificence at any moment, at any place. Given the name Akṣaraha. Akṣaraha is also derived from the root as, which has the meaning again of pervading. So Akṣaraha is the one who is all pervasive. Idea which we see throughout the Vishnu Sahasranama, although Lord Vishnu is depicted with name and form, but the essence of Vishnu is discussed with these names as well. Hari Om. So with that, the second stanza and the meaning are complete. Next time we will take up the third stanza. We will just chant the second stanza, dwelling on the meanings as we chant. Pūtātmā paramātmā ca muktānāṃ paramāgatiḥ avyayaḥ puruṣaḥ sākṣī kṣētrajñō'kṣara eva ca. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om, Hari Om.